Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a fascinating and, honestly, kind of unsettling theory that completely flips our modern obsession with UFOs on its head. We're looking at a recent broadcast from CBN News, where commentators and faith leaders look at close encounters through a totally different lens. Not physics, not biology, but theology. Think about it. What if the things buzzing around in our skies aren't actually from another galaxy at all, but from another spiritual realm? It's a heavy, wild question, so let's just jump right in. We gotta start with this pretty striking warning from Monsignor Steven Rosetti. Now, he's the chief exorcist for the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Washington, and he makes a really compelling argument that these UFO sightings might have a much darker, spiritual origin. He points out that, sure, life on other planets isn't inherently a theological problem, but the specific way these UFOs behave, they have a hidden, manipulative agenda. According to Rosetti, demons operate best in the shadows. You know, they get into our heads, they influence things, all without announcing exactly what they really are.
So this entire theory fundamentally redefines what we're even looking at. The suggestion here is that we aren't dealing with biological space travelers. We're not talking about little green men in metal ships. Instead, the commentators propose we're looking at demonic, interdimensional entities whose whole goal is to manipulate humanity. It shifts the whole paradigm, right? From a physical, sci-fi alien invasion to an unseen spiritual battle. And to back up these massive spiritual claims, they actually pivot and use a purely logistical, mathematical argument to explain exactly why physical space travel is basically impossible anyway.
The math of deep space, why physical travel doesn't add up. 24.7 trillion. That right there is the distance in miles to Proxima Centauri b, which the broadcast notes is the absolute closest potentially habitable exoplanet to Earth. 24.7 trillion miles. I mean, that is a distance so unfathomably vast that our human brains literally struggle to even picture it. And the commentators use this massive number as the baseline for why they are so skeptical about physical alien visitation.
Let's actually break down the math on this for a second. Let's say you take a modern, cutting-edge craft like the Artemis space capsule. That thing maxes out at a staggering 25,000 miles per hour. Fast, right? But if you pointed at that closest habitable planet, it would still take over 113,000 years to get here. So the argument goes, if these are truly biological beings, they'd either have to sit in a spaceship for hundreds of thousands of years, put themselves on ice with cryogenic freezing, use magical unproven wormholes, or have light-speed tech. And all of those options raise huge logical red flags. Which naturally leads to a really practical question. Let's say a highly advanced civilization actually figured out how to travel 24.7 trillion miles. Why on earth are they coming all this way just to clumsily crash land in the New Mexico desert? I mean, think about human history. When colonizers arrived in new lands, they loudly announced their presence. They didn't hide, they didn't probe people in secret, or do these weird, sneaky sci-fi maneuvers in the dark. The behavior we associate with aliens just doesn't line up with the logic of physical explorers. So the source shifts focus away from space and directly into human psychology.
Abduction or demonic possession? Experiential parallels in the supernatural.
This is where things get really wild. When you actually examine the claims made by alien abductees, they perfectly mirror the exact same symptoms documented in demonic possession cases. We are talking about absolute, paralyzing terror, sudden physical paralysis where you literally can't move a muscle, telepathic messages being planted in your head. The commentators argue this is absolutely not a coincidence. To them, it's the shared signature of a spiritual attack, not a biological one.
And then there's this incredibly bizarre geographical correlation they point out. In areas across the country with unusually high levels of occult activity, you simultaneously see the highest concentrations of UFO and alien reports. It's a fascinating, kind of spooky overlap. The underlying argument the source is making here is that participating in the occult basically opens a door to the demonic, which then physically manifests as these unexplained aerial and extraterrestrial phenomena.
Navigating the spiritual battle, guarding against the dark web rabbit hole.
Now, looking into these deep, dark mysteries can take a massive psychological toll on you, which is exactly why having a clear battle plan is so vital. They aren't saying you should just stick your head in the sand. It's actually really important to study and understand the tactics of the enemy. But there is a massive warning attached. You have to guard your heart against the classic Twitter rabbit hole. Constantly doom scrolling through dark conspiracy theories, whether it's aliens, secret societies, whatever, can actually darken your spirit. It's kind of like binge watching way too many true crime documentaries until you get that creeping psychological ickiness. You know the feeling, right? The key takeaway here is to stay informed for sure, but don't let yourself become infatuated with the dark.
As an antidote to that heavy psychological toll, this theological framework offers a really simple strategy grounded right here in Philippians 4. The urging is to intentionally focus your eyes on what is pure and lovely. It's simple, but it's super profound. If you spend your time actively filling your mind with light, with scripture, and with positive things, you're going to be vastly better equipped to spot the darkness and push back against it when it inevitably shows up.
Ultimately, this explainer leaves us with a totally fascinating shift in perspective. Are we so busy desperately searching the stars for answers, hoping to find some biological life billions of miles away, that we're completely overlooking a spiritual reality operating right in front of our faces? Whether you look at all of this through the lens of astrophysics or through theology, one thing is for sure. Our culture's deep, almost obsessive fascination with the extraterrestrial really forces us to confront some of the biggest questions out there about our universe, our safety, and our own souls. Keep questioning what you see.